Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to a brand new stream. Today, going in the Beechcraft Baron 58 in the south of France, I believe, or even just in France, not just in the south. Flying around France in a very challenging airport. Now, forgive me if my voice isn't very clear. I hope it is. So, in the France, and we are flying in the Baron, Courchevel Airport. Forgive me if the pronunciation is also wrong as well. So basically this airport is in the skiing region, the top of the mountains in France, in the French Alps, Courchevel Airport. And it has a very high land altitude. As you can see, we're literally in the mountains. I've put the position here so we can see where we are. The graphics aren't too great. I mean, it doesn't look great up there, but it still looks nice. There's a little bit of snow on the peaks. Well, there's no, I can't see any skiers, let's put it that way. I can't see anyone. We are in fact loaded up, fully loaded up that is, because we've got 4 passengers in the back and some cargo on board. There's not many buildings and it's no snow, so kind of at Courchevel at a strange time of year, to be honest. Just going into spring. There's the runway. Now the airport is very, very special, one of the most challenging approaches, which means you only have one way in, and as far as I can tell you only have one way out as well. So you would only land, or you would land up the runway and you would take off down the runway. So we both landed and departing off the same point, if you like. Okay, because you wouldn't land down here, down the mountain, that's way too steep, and likewise, you're not going to be able to take off up there either. So let's go ahead on, before I could hear something then, and hop in. And, well, the aircraft looks very nice. We're in the Baron 58. Now this, tried to do a bit more reading to try and find out some more speeds. Now I did say 105 was the rotation speed, and the absolute minimum was 85 for the landing. I think that probably still holds true. It's just that some variations of the Baron 58 that I've seen are different. People will tell you have to land at higher speeds and different speeds. So maybe there's some variation there in the Barons in the years they were made and designed. Very interesting. I'm just going to have a quick check of the system settings. Like I say, we're fully loaded. We can't actually see the passengers, but we do have passengers on board. A warm welcome to you. My name's Grantham, of course. I stream 3 times a week in a European flight. I just realised we're streaming at 30 FPS. I wonder if we can change that. So you have to forgive me if I can't change the stream quality. So yeah, hopefully it looks still alright. I forgot to change it back to 60p. Anyway, yeah, so the streams take place 3 times a week on European flights. That can include the UK, and in fact it has in the past. We recently did a freeway from London Heathrow Airport to Brussels, and then on to Innsbruck, which is also another really difficult approach apparently, although if you go back and watch it you'll see I absolutely nailed it. I'm just looking at the map. Can't actually paste the picture into the chat for you to have a look, but it looks obviously on Google Pictures and Bing. Just go on the internet, search Courchevel Airport. I'll type it in the chat. You better find a picture of the sloop and the runway, and you'll be able to see there's not actually that many buildings at the airport, even in the real one. So welcome aboard. There's a name and chat. It's obviously in the title as well. So let's go ahead and get the Baron started. This is only a short flight. This is more of the sightseeing tour. So we're going to take off and have a little bit of a fly around, and we're going to come back down and land, and that's about it. So it should be about half an hour to 45 minutes. Don't have too much time today. Plus, if you are enjoying these streams, we enjoyed that surprise stream on Saturday, I think it was, or Sunday, the one we did from Manchester to London. You'd be glad to know we're doing another stream tomorrow, and that's an unplanned it's supposed to be my scheduled stream. Today was supposed to be an unplanned stream, just because, excuse me, I'm not going to be here on Friday to do a stream for you. So QNH is 1019. Let's go ahead and set that before we start the engines. We're already set at 1018, so 1019. Double check it. Always keep it double checked, or even keep the QNH open so you can see it. 1019. Fairly warm actually, considering how high up we are. About 6,500 feet. Now I am supposed to be on a online ATC service. Go ahead and connect. Let's see who's in the area to give us some clearance. We might be able to get clearance from somebody. Okay, so there's nobody in the area. Maybe we have to turn the avionics on, so we're going to advance the throttles. We should really have the fuel pumps on at this altitude. And we'll definitely need the heat. We're going to stick the beacons, the navs, and we'll stick the taxi lights, panel lights on. We'll give it a start. We should really have prop sync, so let's turn the avionics on, so hopefully a controller comes in range. If not, we can make do without one. Make sure our transponder's on. Yep, there's no controllers in range as suspected. We can probably clear ourselves out. Now, I've seen some people say, so as you can see that course is actually already set for the runway, I think. So that's handy. Yeah, as I've seen some people say about the fuel boost pumps. You need it on below a certain temp, but not above a certain temp. And we are actually near 0 degrees, so we're almost near freezing point. So it's best to have them on, I think, for the start up and probably for the majority of the flight. Actually, I would even say keep them on the entirety of the flight. We've only got an hour's worth of fuel in there. Because like I said, this is not going to be a long flight. Great to see you all here again, and thank you for all the support from all the recent viewers. Thank you for all the interactions in live chat as well. It means a lot. Just looking at some facts of the runway. The airfield has a very short runway of only 537 meters. So that's not very long, is it? Amazing though. It's considered dangerous as it features a difficult approach, an upward sloping runway, and ski runs in the adjacent area. I haven't seen any ski runs on X-Plane 12. Well, as I say, this is a ski resort area. People come here on planes, or in planes, to be dropped off at the ski resorts. It's interesting it's considered dangerous. I mean, I thought it was just considered a challenging approach, but dangerous is a whole nother level of aviation. To fly into a dangerous airport, I mean, let's put it this way, if I make this out alive today, I'm going to be very grateful. If not, the Baron's going to be scrapped. I believe the word is, we're going to have to scrap the Baron and then replace it with a new one. And they don't cost, they're not cheap, so they cost quite a bit of money as well, so we don't want to do that. If we can avoid it, we'll avoid crashing. There have been many incidents. Wow. Actually quite recent incidents dating back to 2024. A Pilatus PC-12 crashed on landing. The aircraft overrunning onto a snow-covered embankment, and a wing was torn off. There were 2 crew members aboard, and no fatalities. Well, that's a relief. I mean, so they've come up the runway, as you can see, they've come up this slope, and they've crashed here into this embankment. My guess is they probably either they touched down to quite late, which is normal, I'd say, because you're probably going to be on a steep approach there. And then they've overshot the runway because they haven't been able to slow down in time. And now the Pilatus, I don't think, has a reverse thrust. I believe that's just a propeller aircraft. Again, going back to 2022, we're privately owned and operating Diamond. Now, the Diamond's like the Baron, I think. That's a twin-engine aircraft. Yeah, so it's a twin-engine aircraft. Crashed into an embankment. So a lot of the planes seem to be going into that embankment at the end. So let's not repeat the same mistake. I'm going to read one more incident from 2021. A Piper PA-46 crashed after striking an embankment above the runway threshold, which tore the aircraft's undercarriage. The aircraft continued along the runway for a further 100 meters, while coming to a halt and catching on fire. There was 1 fatality. Wow, this is unnerving. This is very, very unusual for me to fly in such an area, because I want to get down on the ground and I want to land safely. This is not an easy landing at all. This is not an easy airport. This is dangerous. I just read out the most recent 3 crashes from this airport, 2 of which didn't have fatalities, but nonetheless their aircraft were damaged like beyond repair. You would have to replace the parts or replace the plane. One of the aircraft set on fire and killed somebody. So this is the kind of thing we're up against. Now we're already, as I say, 6,500 feet in the air. Yeah, welcome aboard, find us, and we're already ready now to go. So, considering we've got no ATC, which is a relief, we're going to tune into the intercom, which we already are. So 122.8, and we're just going to fly out. So we're not going to rush, and then we're going to come back in after some time and land. Very nerve-wracking. We're heavy on passengers, but we're light on fuel. So this is the embankment planes would have crashed into, and the one that lost its undercarriage was because it crashed into the embankment at the end of the runway when it came into land. That would suggest that the aircraft is too low on final. So we'll have to remember the altitude for the airport is 6,500 or just over 6,500 feet. If we're below that, we're going to crash. If we're too high, we're obviously going to be overshooting the runway. Now I don't think you can go around at this airport, so it's a hit or miss basically. You're either going to land or you're not. Right, let's get going. There's no snow at this time of the year, it seems. Not sure if that's accurate to the real airport. I'm going to deploy 1 Thatcher flaps. I'm using up the entirety of the runway. The band has a very steep, sorry, not steep, but a very high takeoff speed. So let's try and use the entirety of it. Okay, what I'm going to do actually before I take off, just give me 1 sec. So we know the runway's about 1,700 feet. Well, what is the runway takeoff length for the Baron 58? 3,800 feet with a 50-foot obstacle. Takeoff and landing is a result of a number of factors including the aircraft weight, altitude, headwind, use of flaps, ambient temperature. Okay, so basically we got no chance. We've got no chance of taking off on time, and we've got no chance of landing on time. Although it's on a slope, so we might pick up that speed. We'll have to do a short takeoff procedure. We'll have to advance the throttles to full, the manifold pressure goes full, and then we'll release the brakes, so sort of propelled start there at the beginning. Oh well, we can do it. We got flaps deployed, strapped into our seats, everyone on the back secure. Let's stick the fuel pumps on. Our landing lights on, strobe lights on. Slowly advance the manifold to full. The aircraft's already taken off. The brakes weren't working. Come on, we can do this. Minimum 85, I'd say. Come on. There we go. Just about made it. Okay, so we're just above minimum control speed there. That red bar is the landing speed reference, I think, and also the minimum control speed for one engine. We'll leave the flaps down until we're at a safe altitude. I'm going to switch the transponder to altitude. Hopefully you can hear it. We're going to turn slightly off, and then we're going to fly out a bit and just look around the mountains, and it's very pretty. and it really is a nice, nice view. Small villages and towns spread out across the French Alps. I don't know if you can see that, I'm getting messages on radio saying somebody's screaming on Unicom, but I'm listening to Unicom and it's completely clear. Also let me know how the audio is. Some good feedback on audio, I'll turn it down. Good flight the other night as well from Manchester to London City, as usual. So hopefully that audio is not too loud. So now we've climbed out to about 8,700 feet. We're going to retract the flaps. You notice I kept them down for a while, just because we want to establish a safe altitude, or relatively safe, before we try and head back. Now you'll notice on the GPS, and I've noticed there's no airport on it because Courchevel Airport, LFLJ I believe it is, doesn't actually appear on the GPS. So it's only available on the map that comes with X-Plane 12, so you can see we're heading out. And we're going to keep climbing to a maximum of probably 11,000 feet. The bearing can only go up to 12,000, and then the pilot starts to black out because there's no oxygen on board. Okay, nice steady climb. I'm going to reduce that propeller slightly. I'm going to keep the manifold pressure nice and high. Close the cowl flaps. Probably turn the fuel pumps off. Landing lights off. Now there's no headwind today. There's a strong crosswind, fairly strong, about 6 knots. It'd be good if that wind could change, and it seems to have changed a bit. If we could change this direction to the direction we're flying into, so we have a strong headwind on London. Now the closer you are to the mountains, the more dangerous it becomes. You get the lift effect from the wind, so the wind is going to lift off of the mountains and it will affect the plane, so you don't want to fly too close to it. You want to have a good clearance like we have now. We've actually got a good amount of space ahead of us there where we can fly with absolutely no issues whatsoever. Just double check the temperatures, everything else is in the green. We are going to lean that mixture as well. Make sure we get the most out of our aircraft's speed. And reduce those propellers ever so slightly. Okay, that's about as high as we can go legally. Any higher we're going to pass down, lose control of the aircraft. The water pilot's engaged. You want to double check the AP buttons illuminated, holding the altitude, heading, and the flight director's guiding us. The Baron is like not this kind of aircraft that should be flying here. We should be flying in a pressurized plane to make sure we have good clearance over the mountain tops. There's no chance a Cessna could fly here. The Baron is a good one to fly in, but again, non-pressurized aircraft, you're really limited up to a certain altitude. Fantastic view there of the icy mountain slopes. There's no ATC, so I'm going to go ahead and disconnect. It would have been nice to have some ATC chatter, or even somebody to talk to, but we're going to disconnect. Can hear some static on the line. Okay, there's that effect of the mountain, the wind, and the lift. It is a beautiful area. I almost feel like I'm exploring the top of the world here. We'll be exploring another very special region of the world sometime. Probably next week at this point. Another very special area. Of course, tomorrow we have like a standard European stream tomorrow for Wednesday. And we're going from Innsbruck, which was the destination we last landed at, and we're going to Prague. So that'd be nice. Prague's always a beautiful place. And that'll be the last stream of the week. Find us, and then I'll return on Monday. To be honest, I'm enjoying this a lot. There's no need to have the autopilot on, so I'm going to turn it off. Let's go ahead and fly back to the airport. You can already see the airport in sight, so we're going to reduce that speed. We want the rich, we want the mixtures rich, the propellers fully forward. The manifold pressure can come down now. We want to be approaching about 120, so our speed is built up nicely there to about 160. Well, we need to reduce again. We need to get down to about 6,500 feet. There's the airport. So let's see if we can make this without killing anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, if you buckle in, enjoy the sights and don't worry at all. We take good care of you at this airline. Okay, I'm reducing the manifold pressure right down. Propellers fully forward. Your damper can come off. Flaps to approach. So we have a light, that's a blue light on this. Blue light there for approach flaps. Should barely have de-ice on at the moment. Let's go ahead and stick that on. You'll notice the de-icing pressure there building up to the green, and that'll go back down to 0 in a sec. So what we can do actually, we can put that manifold pressure up high, and then we can put the propellers to feather if you want. I think that might be a better thing to do. Let's feather the propellers. Just about. Stick the landing gear down. Just doing a standard approach, to be honest. I'm not considering how high we are. I'm not considering some of the other factors. So we're well too high. Let's keep feathering the propellers and let's just go around. Help lose some height and slow down a bit. So it wouldn't happen in real life. The pilot wouldn't really have the choice to do this. I'd be interested to see if a citation jet could land here though. Get a better altitude here. Amazing forest there on the mountain. This is much better altitude, we're about 1,000 feet or 800 feet above runway height. I'm going to maintain about 110 if I can on approach. And then we'll get down to the runway, should cross the threshold about 85 I'm hoping. So full flaps. This is no doubt why the pilots have crashed. This is a steep and dangerous approach. Manifold pressure's gone way down as we come into land. I'm just going to idle the engines. Hopefully slow it down in time. Okay, we're a bit fast. Oh, full brakes. Okay, so we've not crashed, we've done a good landing. We did slam down at the end and it was slightly steep as expected. But we've actually survived, so... Yeah, so that other pilot, the other pilots may have come in too high, too fast. They most certainly gone off the end of this runway and they most certainly scraped the mountain on the way in. I have to say that was a short flight, but it was enjoyable. Hit the brakes in a sec while I just run through what's going on in the plane. So we don't need anti-ice. I've got the P2 heats on in case. Should really have the stall warning on. Protect us from ice. Icing warning, that is. Propellers and windshield, you can have them on if you want. I haven't noticed any ice on the windshields here. We seem to be pretty warm. If you check on the map, there's our route. So we had a nice fly out, back in. LFLJ is the code. 3,000 feet transition altitude. I'm not sure how because we're at 6,500 feet here. QNH 1020, so that's changed. Let's go ahead and change it. So it must be updating according to Meta, which is nice to see. And yeah, let me know what you thought in the chat and the comments. It's always good to have feedback about landings. As the most challenging airport in the world, one of the most dangerous, it doesn't come across like that. It comes across as a an advanced beginner's airport, I'd have to say. I'm only joking. This is for masters of the aircraft. You shouldn't be flying here unless you know what you're doing. Welcome to Courchevel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoy your skiing trip. I'll let you out the back now. The fantastic thing about the Baron is it has a nice door. Yes, I hope that was enlightening, and what more can you want from a flight sim, the most dangerous airport in the world? So yeah, I appreciate this is a short stream, and I appreciate you being here for this time. I have to go now, unfortunately, but I'll be back tomorrow. Take care.